Every year, thousands of young people enter a system that promises justice, but often delivers trauma. You are taken away from your friends, family, and parental guidance. Many of the policies put in place today were designed decades ago and don't consider the developmental differences between youth and adults. To understand more about how the juvenile justice system works and how it affects kids, and to understand what real second chances look like, we spoke to someone who is making them happen every day.
My name is Benjamin Wills, and I'm the Executive Director at Cafe Momentum Atlanta. And we are about equipping justice-involved youth with life skills, educational opportunities, and workforce development in a high-quality fine dining restaurant environment. And so we are providing not just a job, but programmatic support in the life of a young person as they're at a critical juncture in order to help them achieve their full potential.
While Mr. Wills works every day with young people to give them a second chance through Cafe Momentum, many people have lived through the consequences of the broken system. To see the impact firsthand, we spoke with someone who has experienced it from the inside.
My name is Miller McLaughlin. I was in the juvenile justice system when I was in 7th grade. I was around 13 years old. I made a really big mistake, really stupid prank that potentially could have harmed a lot of people's lives. I wasted a lot of police resources. They treated me pretty fair. I think it all depends on your scenario, because with some people that are younger and have done really bad things that, might be punished to a greater extent as opposed to what I did, I feel like they kind of let me off the hook. Some of these kids are in the juvenile justice system, but they go to juvie, they get locked up for a long time, and they were too young. They learned that from their parents. It's out of their control.
My thoughts on the juvenile system, it seems to be very harsh. It seems to be more focused on punishment rather than rehabilitation. Kids, or really anyone under 18, 19 years old, you need to be focused on rehabilitating them back into society for them to do anything productive. Because if you just keep punishing a kid over and over again, they're probably just going to keep making the same mistake.
A lot of these people grow up in communities that don't promote the idea of getting a job and staying away from violence. In fact, it promotes the opposite. It promotes staying violent and really bad things, which kind of keeps it in like an endless cycle of bad things that just keep happening.
The way I would reform the juvenile system, make it look more like a community rather than like a prison or a school. There's no windows in those facilities, and not even be able to see the sun, or only seeing the sun in like a 2x2 window, it's just not healthy for you. It's not good mentally, and I feel like that definitely affects the way that a child or an adolescent's brain develops. I think the main reason why kids end up going to juvie is because of the culture that they are either fed into or they just grow into it themselves. They choose to go that path. When you live in more urban areas, you're more likely to be involved in, drugs and crime and theft and whatnot.
For this interview, I'm going to remain anonymous. At the ages of 13 through 15, I was in and out of court. I was expelled from almost every school that I went to. And at which point my probation officer, my parents, and the judge agreed to sign my parental guardianship over to the state, to which they agreed to send me to a lockdown facility in the state of Utah, to where I spent 2 years there. What do you think of when you hear the word juvie or juvenile justice? Now, I think that there's a lot of stigma around this, and I feel like the word is somewhat tainted and that people would look at you differently. But in reality, the way that I view it is that good kids make bad decisions, and not all kids that make those decisions are bad kids.
I think any system that is not seeking to restore is causing harm. And so when we think about justice, there are sort of two sides of one coin, perhaps. You could have a retributive justice, which is to punish or to get back at someone for a wrong that they've done. Or you can have a restorative justice, which is to repair the harm that was done and build back something stronger. And so I think any system that is focused first on retribution, focused first on punishment, and not focused first on restoration is potentially causing harm in the life of a human being.
In 2022, according to the sentencingproject.org, there were 27,000 juveniles placed into juvenile residential facilities. The system put in place was built to correct, but it's been failing our youth. It's time to rethink, rebuild, and truly give them a second chance.